It sounds like my refrigerator is coming in for a landing. Like, do you hear that?
Hi there, my name is Renee. I'm an appliance care and maintenance specialist, and before this, I was an appliance repair technician for 6 years. I heard you need some help with your fridge, which sounds kind of like a jet plane. Going by the noise from your video, it sounds like it's going to be the evaporator fan rubbing against ice. The bad news is, I can't officially diagnose that over the internet, and there are a few other things that it could be. But I know you said you're on a budget, so I at least want to offer you a band-aid solution for the meantime. For most models of fridges, you can tell if this is the problem by opening the fridge and freezer doors when the sound is happening, because for most refrigerators, they'll turn the evaporator fan off if it notices the doors are open. So if the noise stops, you know it's the evaporator fan. Inside either your fridge, your freezer, or both back behind a back panel, there's going to be an evaporator. There might even be more than one. The refrigerant in your fridge flows through that evaporator, and that's where the cold actually comes from. But to distribute that cold temperature, you need fans to circulate the air to keep everything moving. Your evaporator, because it's very, very cold, and because our environment has humidity, you get ice buildup on the evaporator. So eventually what's going to happen is it's going to defrost and melt all of that ice off. After all of the ice is melted off, the defrost heater is going to turn off, it'll start to cool again, and it'll turn the fans back on. What's probably happening in your scenario is there is some sort of an issue with it defrosting. Could be something to do with the temperature sensor, which tells the fridge when to defrost and for how long. Could be an issue with the heater itself. There's even a chance it could be an issue with the evaporator. My point being, though, you do unfortunately have to have a professional diagnose that in person. Here's the Band-Aid fix. And what I mean by Band-Aid fix is this is not going to solve the problem overall, but it will sort of solve the problem temporarily. When your fridge can't defrost properly, the ice just builds and builds and builds until eventually your evaporator fan just starts rubbing up against it. And it sort of sounds like when you put baseball cards in the spokes of a bicycle wheel, except louder. So I said before that your fridge is having trouble defrosting, which means that you need to do the defrosting for it. That ice takes a while to build up. So if you defrost the fridge manually, it'll function like normal. For a while anyway, until the ice builds back up and then you have to do the same thing again. That's why I say it's a Band-Aid and not a permanent solution. And I am really sorry, but defrosting your fridge manually sucks. But hey, that's why it's the Band-Aid, and unfortunately this is the free option. But here's one method of doing that. First of all, take all of the food out of your fridge and freezer and put it into a cooler with ice. And know in advance that this is probably going to take about 2 to 3 days. Once all the food is out of your fridge, open all of the doors, unplug your fridge, and point a fan at the inside. Even though it might seem counterintuitive, that fan is actually going to help with airflow, so it helps push warm air into the fridge, which is really, really insulated to stay cold. Make sure you have a lot of towels handy. I would suggest lining the bottom outside of the fridge with towels just in case, because most likely that ice is going to leak somewhere, and it's a little difficult to say exactly where without knowing exactly where the ice is, or how much of it there is. But once the fridge is defrosted, plug it back in, give it at least 24 hours to get back up to the correct temperature, and you should be good to go, at least for a little while. I know it's not the best solution in the world, but it'll at least get you by in the meantime, so I hope that helps.